We will never retire as a nation. We're in a skyscraper today, and look at this place. Fucking empty. We're seeing small businesses sell for $0 or just shutter. We need to restructure the way that we have ownership and employment in this country. I think there's lots of solutions, but the retirement part of the American dream is no longer alive.
You talked about how the dream of retirement is basically done. It's gone. Can you elaborate on that?
I think this generation knows that to be true. Anybody 45 and older will probably wonder, but there's a few different ways to think about it. One, on average, our generation stays at a job for 3 to 5 years, 5 being the outlier, 3 being the norm. And we no longer have pensions like we used to. And I think in the past, people thought that you spent your life in pursuit of one thing and you stayed there for a period of time until finally you were rewarded for that loyalty with some sunset cruise at the silver age terror period of your life. And now our generation, one, I think is sort of uninterested in late retirement, maybe curious about early retirement for a period, as evidenced originally by Tim Ferriss. But my belief is we will never retire as a nation going forward because we won't have our social security system to stand alongside us at current projections, and because we won't have pensions in the same way we do historically, and because most humans don't own equity. Increasingly, they don't own homes and they don't have multiple income streams. I think there's a little bit of an issue in the world today. I think there's lots of solutions, but that's why I think the retirement part of the American dream is no longer alive.
Right. And we'll come back to that in a second. But I think also your personal mission aligns with this. So just for people that don't know your personal mission, what is it?
Yeah. Well, we want to create 100,000 small business owners, and I want to create 1 million financially free humans. Hopefully we can do more than that. But my belief is that we need skin in the game, things that you and I have, the ability to see if we do X action at work and it drives Y profit or value to the company, we get some reward for that. And over time, we get aligned to our incentives in our company so that we have ownership in what we do. And the way I know how to execute that the best is for small businesses here in the US. I mean, I was just reading, there's a story going around that I've talked about a bit about what's happening in Japan and the fact that increasingly we're seeing small businesses sell for $0 or just shutter across the country.
And some homes are just abandoned too.
Abandoned, yeah. And because the next generation doesn't want to buy them, and there's no infrastructure set up for that delivery to happen. And so I think that is already happening in the US. And in our worlds of Twitter, sort of back and forth, it seems like everybody's looking at small businesses. But those people live on the coasts, like where we are right now, and they're not in cities in the middle of the country where those places are shutting down. In fact, how fascinating is it? We're in a skyscraper today, and look at this place. It's fucking empty.
Yep.
The downstairs, empty. 2 of the largest, most premier spots. We were just in another skyscraper in Burbank, and 32 stories high. I asked the guard, I'm like, nobody's here today. What's going on? He's like, yeah, Friday. It's like 100 people, maybe max, in this building. Think about that.
And what's the typical capacity in that building?
Oh my God. Well, I mean, just one floor. This is probably what? You could probably have 150 people at office capacity in here, which means there's probably 10 of these on each floor. So we're talking about a building that has thousands and thousands, if not tens of thousands.
Yep.
And we're at, 1% capacity.
I want to come back to this because this building itself is an asset, right? Earlier, you talked about the importance of owning assets. Well, why is it important to own assets? Why is it important to own equity?
Well, it's certainly true that you can't take your W-2 with you. And also the country's set up from a tax perspective to advantage those who are either 1099, which is fascinating because in California, they don't want contractors. They say it's bad. It's actually better for your taxes in a lot of ways, or people who have ownership in something. And so most people, I think, who are in W-2s today don't realize, they don't realize what they're being penalized by from the government on a taxation basis. And also, these small businesses all over the country, they're assets that you can invest in, both with time, equity, or expertise. But there are also things that you can pass on to the next generation. And, like, I don't know what you want to do with your businesses next, but you can sell it for a multiple of your profit, right? And you've bought and sold businesses and done it that way. You can't do that with the W-2. And so there's no real way to exit. So if retirement doesn't happen, there aren't pensions anymore. You are in your W-2. It's not tax advantaged, and you have no ability to exit either to retirement or to selling your business. Like, what are you going to do? And so I think we need to restructure the way that we have ownership and employment in this country. And it doesn't mean that everybody should be an owner, because you and I know how hard that is. Like, owning an actual business can suck. But it does mean that you want to get somewhere where you can get some of the benefits of both the tax structure and the asset.